Donald Trump right now is setting up probably his strongest reelection argument for 2020, and the Democrats are largely missing it. They need to be listening to Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio. Check this out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, and please subscribe to our channel. The trade issue. China is right now manufacturing probably most of what we consume here in the United States. I mean, when was the last time you walked into a store and were able to buy something that wasn't made in China? How did that happen? Right? I spent the month of November 1988 in China. Excuse me, 1986 in China, in Beijing. I was living in Beijing in a dorm with three other guys. They were all physicians. One of them now is a psychiatrist up in New York City. The other two I've lost touch with. They were Japanese docs. And, the four of us shared a dorm because we were studying acupuncture at the Beijing International Acupuncture Institute. And I walked all over Beijing, and, there were no stores. There was nothing retail. It was still a communist government. This was 1986. And in how many years has it been? What, 30 years, 32 years? Am I doing my math right? China has gone from being this backwater little country where the tallest building in Beijing was the 10-story Marriott or Hyatt, whichever it was. It was a Hyatt. Maybe it was a Hilton, whatever. It was one of the chain hotels. That was the biggest building in Beijing. And it had, the only Western restaurant was on the top floor. It was a steakhouse. And they flew the food in. I mean, that was it, right? It was like the roads, many of the streets were dirt. There were giant piles. I was there in November. There were giant piles of coal, little briquettes, the size of a small stone, in front of, about every maybe 100 yards along all the major streets, because there were no cars going up and down the streets. Everybody rode bicycles. And when people needed coal, and everybody heated just one room in their house, I was in some of those houses. They heated just one room in their house with a little coal stove, and they'd go out front and grab a piece of coal, and, that was their heat. And China has gone from that to having the second largest economy in the world. Next year, it'll be the largest economy in the world, and gone from supplying nothing to the United States to supplying everything to the United States. Our military would not function without Chinese goods. Our retail stores, Walmart would have to shut down without Chinese goods. And the American worker knows this, right? Whether they're old enough to remember the days when we actually made things in the United States, or whether they're a young millennial who has no recollection of that and China has always provided everything, they still know that in Grandpa's generation, 40, 50 years ago, we made everything in the United States. And Donald Trump this is going to be his strongest card in the 2020 election. Mark my words. He is going to be saying, I tried to bring jobs home to America, but 40 years of Reaganism, and he's going to call it Clintonism. Bill Clinton signed NAFTA. Bill Clinton got China into the World Trade Organization, all this kind of stuff. 40 years of these policies by both Republicans and Democrats have wiped out American manufacturing and thus wiped out American independence. To the point that, 5G is the hot new thing. It's going to change the world. And literally, pretty soon you're going to see pretty much all the data in the world going through 5G really, really fast. And there's literally not a single company left in America that can make 5G stuff. And so who's making it? Huawei, which is a Chinese company affiliated with the Chinese military that the Trump administration and frankly, the Obama administration before them, they're all freaking out saying, they're putting backdoors in their stuff. They're monitoring everything that's going on. They're using this for social control in China. It's not a democracy, have you noticed? And they could use it for social control here in the United States. But we literally don't have a company in the United States capable of making this stuff. This is a serious problem. And Sherrod Brown and a number of, Bernie Sanders on this program for over a decade talking about, we need a protectionist trade policy, including tariffs. Sherrod Brown saying we need a protectionist trade policy, including tariffs. It was a position that was universally hated by Republicans, and about half of Democrats, the corporate Democrats, said, no, that's crazy. You don't want tariffs. We need an interconnected world. It's a wonderful thing. But about half the Democratic Party has consistently been arguing for tariffs and for a restrictionist and protectionist trade policy. And if Democrats don't start listening to Sherrod Brown on this issue and similar issues, and don't start taking this really seriously, we're going to get creamed in the 2020 election. We have to openly and explicitly repudiate these trade policies that brought us NAFTA and CAFTA and the World Trade Organization and all this stuff, because it's devastating our country. And I'm telling you, I am not exaggerating. All this stuff that Trump is doing, much of it is theater, much of it is not. And he's going to go to the mattresses to fight China, and he's going to hurt the Dow Jones slightly for a while to take on China, to show what a tough guy he is. And blue-collar workers all across America are going to say, yeah, that's my guy. Democrats, wake the hell up.